We are into Chapter 5, Section 6, and I believe this is the last section of this chapter. So the plan is here. Listen up. The plan is going to be, we're going to do Section 6 today. We're going to start reviewing tomorrow. I'm going to have a practice test for you to be able to work on Wednesday. I'm not going to be here Wednesday. So you guys will be working on the practice test on Wednesday. Thursday we're going to review that practice test. And Friday we're going to take the test. All right? You guys only have a half day on Friday? Really? Mm-hmm. And then you're off on Monday. Good, come to school. All right. 5-6. 5-6, we're going to learn about parallel lines, and that's how we signify parallel lines. Notice that the arrow is not at the end of the line. Notice the arrow is not at the end of the line. It's within the line. That signifies parallel lines. And we're going to work on perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines mean they make a 90-degree angle to each other. Okay? That's what that box means. When you see this, it means it's perpendicular. All right? So those are the two lines we're going to be working on today. Now, what we've done before is we've used this equation, y equals mx plus b. What kind of equation is that? Slope-intercept. And what is the slope? M. M is your slope. This is what we are going to focus on, this M. When we're working on parallel and perpendicular lines, we focus on the M, the slope. Let's take a look at what I mean by that. I'm going to draw a little graph over here. And we're going to put up here y equals 3x plus 2. All right? Let's graph that. I know where it crosses my y-axis. Where? Where's that cross my y-axis, Jessa? Come on, where does this? This is the slope intercept, y-intercept, right? This is my slope. This is where it crosses the y-axis. So where's it cross the y-axis at? 2. So I can go up to 2. 1, 2, and I say that's one of my points. I'm graphing this. My slope is 3, which is really 3 over 1. And how does the slope go? Ouch. How does the slope go? Rise over run, right? Change in y over change in x. So we go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And that is my point. Those are my 2 points right here. So I can graph this line right here, right? There's my line. Now, if I want to make another line that is parallel to that line, what do you think I'm going to work off of? Slope. If it has the same slope, it's parallel. So if I said y equals 3x minus 2, where would I cross my y-axis, Libby? Negative 2. 1, 2. Crosses right here. My slope is 3 over 1. So I go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And I've just created a parallel line to the other one. All right? So if I want to make a parallel line, what do I need to have? Jade, what do I need to have to make a parallel line? The same slope. All right? In order to make a parallel line, I need to have the same slope. I want you to tell me y equals 3/2 x plus 2. Y equals 3/2 x. minus 2. Are these parallel lines? Yes, they're parallel lines because they have the same slope. And the slope is always the coefficient that's attached to the x. That's always my slope. So if my slopes are the same, we know we have parallel lines. That's a parallel line. Okay? That's working with parallel lines. Now, let's take a look at what a perpendicular line would be. Let's graph this. Y equals, I'm going to put 3/2 x plus 2. And I'm going to graph this. I know it crosses my y-axis where, Can? Where does it cross my y-axis? Can. We are going to learn the slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. All right? This is my what? The m. What is it? Slope. Always slope. Because it's attached to my x, right? Where does it cross my y-axis? The b. So this is my y-intercept. So on that equation, where's it cross my y-axis? At 2. Right here. At 2. All right? What would be my slope? Hallie, what would be my slope in that case, in that equation? That's my y-axis. That's where it crosses the y-axis, Hallie. Where would it be my slope? Remember, what's that? 3/2. This is my slope right here. Okay? So I'm going to, this is y over x, right? Rise, 1, 2, 3, over my run. 1, 2. So if I graph this line, that's where my line's going to go. Yes? Oh, sure. I'm just using that right now. Then you would cross the y-axis at 6. Parallel? Yeah, if I was, this is what she's asking. If I did this right here plus 6, then I'd go up to 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that's where it would cross my y-axis. But I would still do the same slope, 1, 2, 3 over 2, to have the same slope. Okay? All right? You understand that? All right, so now they're parallel. These two lines right here are parallel because they have the same slope. But now we're going to take a look at what makes it perpendicular. And perpendicular means we're going to create something like this. A line's going to come through this, and it's going to make a 90-degree angle to these lines. All right? It makes a 90-degree angle to those lines. Well, we're pretty darn close to the 2 here where I drew it through, so let's take a look at how we do that. What would be my slope? Now, these slopes are what kind of slopes? Positive or negative? Bless you. Positive slopes, right? Because if we go from left to right, they increase, so they're positive slopes. Bless you. If I go from left to right on this one, what kind of slope is this? Negative. That's the first clue. All right? So I can take whatever my slope is right here, and I can make it negative. That's the first part. So I know it's going to be a negative of that thing. But let's take a look what happens. I'm going 1, 2, and I'm actually going 1, 2, 3 back to get to there. What do you think happens? I'm going up 2 and back 3. What's happening? I've just inverted this. This was up 3/2, right? I inverted it. So my slope is my perpendicular slope is the negative of the reciprocal of the slope. Okay, so let's take a look at that again. All I'm doing is flipping it over and making it negative. Flipping it over, and I'm making it negative to find my perpendicular slope. Here's what I want you to write on your, I want you to write in your notes. Slope equals y over x. Slope equals y over x. Perpendicular slope equals a negative x over y. We flip it and we make it negative, and that gives us our perpendicular slope. Now this is a tough one for a lot of people to remember, but we're going to harp on it a little bit. All right? Your slope is x or y over x. Your perpendicular slope is a negative x over y. All we've done is we flipped this and we made it negative. Can everybody see that? See it? Jess, you see it? Okay. Hallie, are you seeing this? What we're doing? We've got this. I'm going to change out my m. Oh, I can't do that. Y equals mx plus b. What is my perpendicular slope to that? 1 over m, because this is really m over 1, right? And I make it a negative. Invert it and make it negative. What's that? Then it would go positive. Yeah, obviously, yes. All right, let's do a couple examples like that. Y equals 2/3 x plus 5. I want the perpendicular slope to that one. What is the perpendicular slope of that equation? No, what is it? What is it? Let's negative 3 over 2.
Good job, Trevor. Thanks, Libby. Nice for you.
Oh yeah, you could graph it, right? You could graph it. All right. JT. Y equals a negative 1/2 x plus 5. What is my perpendicular slope? Two over 1, right? And then, what am I by negative? What do I do? Make it positive, right? So it'd be a positive or just a plus 2. Right? That would be my slope. If I start out at negative 1/2, I take the perpendicular, or I flip it, and I take the opposite sign of it. Okay? Ben, y equals 5x plus 6. What is my perpendicular slope? This is Ben's. You got it. Negative 1/5. Negative 1/5. Because this is really 5 over 1. Right? Flip it, make it negative. Y equals a negative 6/16 x minus 123. Solomon, what's my perpendicular slope? What is it? 16 over 6, right? There you go. Be confident in it. Jesse, do you see it? Libby, you see it? JD, are you ready? Y equals 5/3 x plus 10. And? There you go. Negative 3 over 5. Wade. Ready? Y equals 5 minus 2/3 x. There you go. 3/2. 3/2. Why is it 3/2? Because that's what's attached to the x. All right? Yeah. Whatever it is attached to the x is your slope. All right. Let's see. And then there's Ethan. Y minus 1 equals 3x plus 2 minus 3/2 x. Come on, Ethan. What? Guys, knock it off. Libby, turn around. What is it? We're waiting. We're waiting. Negative 2/3? That's your final answer? Negative 2/3. Okay, let's take a look at this. What is the slope attached to? The x, right? So really all we have to do is just worry about these x's, right? They're on the same side of the equal sign. So let's go 3x minus 3/2 x. Well, I'm going to make this 6/2 x minus 3/2 x. 3/2, I'm going to end up with 3/2 x. Invert it, make it negative. Negative 2/3. All right, that was a little tricky, but. All right. Do you guys see what I did? What's that? Well, yeah, because I've got two x's in there. I had to combine them. All right, I had to set it into an x. All right. So you guys are understanding. Do you understand perpendicular now? Do you understand what parallel is? All right, let's work on the homework then.
I feel like I can get 100% on this.
All right. Now, guys, pay attention. We are going to, you got an equation. You have to use the, what does it say? Write an equation in slope-intercept form of the line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the graph given equation. What equation do we need to use? Nope. Point, slope, form. Guys, point, listen up. Anybody paying attention? Point, slope, form. What's the slope for this one? Number 1. 2. There's my slope. There's my point. 3, 1. We put it into the point slope. So let's take a look at how that works. Our point slope is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. There's our point slope. y minus what? Really? What's my point? 1. Here's my point, guys. 3, 1. What's my y in there? Really? Hallie, do you see what the y is in there? And that point, what's the y on this coordinate point? I got 3 and 1. 1. So I'm going to go y minus 1 equals, what's my slope? 2. There's my slope right here. 2 times x minus what? Can. X minus what? Point, slope. Here's my point. What's my x?
Oh, what? 3, my bad.
3. My point is 3, 1. My slope is equal to 2. I'm putting in my y value for y1, my x value for x1. That isn't a curveball. Y minus 1 equals 2x minus 6. Does everybody see how I solved that one? Were you paying attention? What do you think I did here then, Libby? What do I have to do those parentheses? Yeah, I got a minus. I got to times the 2 through. I have to distribute, right? 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. Y, I'm going to add 1 here. I'm going to add 1 here. Y equals 2x minus 5. There is what they're looking for. I got a negative 6. Add 1 to it, and it's negative 5. All right, let's do one more. And then I'm going to leave this up to you. My point is what? 1, 3. JT, what's my slope? Kind of hard when you're off in a zone and not paying attention. Number 3, what's my slope? 7. My slope equals 7. I've got my point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. JD, what goes in for my y1? 3. Y minus 3. What goes in for my slope? Libby? 7. Jessa, what goes in for my x1? 1. Y minus 3 equals what? Ethan? 7x minus 7. All right. Add 3 to both sides. Why did I add 3? Because I'm doing what? Ben? Yeah. So I could get y by itself. Y equals 7x minus 4. That's the answer to number 3. Okay, see how we have to do this? You see how we have to do this? Okay. You have 4, 5, 6, 7 to work on this page. Let's see. All right. They want you to do a perpendicular slope. Let me do same thing as what we did on the first page. They made parallel, right? Now it's perpendicular. I'm going to use the point slope form again. My point is 5, negative 3. My slope is 5. But what's my perpendicular slope? Negative 1 over 5. So that's the slope that I have to use for this. Right? My slope is 5, or it's 5 over 1. I flip it and make it negative, and that's my perpendicular slope. Let's put, what's that? Perpendicular right there. Okay. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Wade, what's my y? Negative 3. So I'm going a negative times a negative, which is a positive 3 there, okay? Opposite equals my slope. JD, what's my slope? Remember, we're doing the perpendicular slope now. This is the slope that came from the equation. This is my perpendicular slope, right? What do I put in for slope? Negative 1 over 5. Okay? And then I go x minus my x1, which is what, JT? I thought. Hallie, what do I put in for my x1? Five. Because that's my x. This is x, this is y up here, right? So I've got y plus 3 equals minus 1/5 x. Minus 1/5 times a negative 5 is? Plus 1. Really? Negative 1/5 times 5, right? My 5's cancel, right? Oh, this is a negative 5 here, I'm sorry. And my negatives make them plus. I end up with a plus 1. All right? Y, I subtract 3 from both sides. Y equals minus 1/5 x minus 2. There's my final answer. All right. You guys have the rest of these to do. I did 2, 3. I did 2 and 3. I did 9. You guys got the rest.